Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Michelle Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Sarah Mae Dickinson, the founder and CEO of SMD Coaching, joining us. With over a decade of experience in sales and business development, Sarah launched SMD Coaching in 2018 to empower small business owners, entrepreneurs, and freelancers with the sales skills they need to thrive. Her company has built a strong following of over 2,000 on LinkedIn, offering personalized coaching, workshops, and digital resources that transform sales confidence. We'll explore Sarah's founding journey, how SMD Coaching is reshaping sales enablement, and her vision for scaling this education-driven business. So with that being said, let's dive in. Sarah, welcome to Founders Future.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Let's kick things off for our listeners. Sarah, take us back to the beginning. What specific problem within the sales landscape, perhaps around small business owners struggling to close deals, inspired you to start SMD Consulting?
I started SMD coaching and consulting accidentally, really. I had already been in sales for 15 plus years. My husband and I were moving cross country. It was pre-COVID in the wild before times of the online virtual space. And I got onto a website called Upwork, which is all freelancers, and probably everyone listening to this podcast should either be on or know about, and saw a posting for a sales coach, which I had never heard of before. And I turned to my husband and said, why on earth would anyone want a sales coach? Or what would I even do with them? Or what are these people even talking about? And he said to me, for the first time ever I heard in my life, nobody gets taught what you have been being in sales. Nobody gets that kind of training. Nobody gets that kind of education in any other field that they might be in. Even if they have to touch sales, they're not getting any of the education behind it. So I took that first client for basically $0 just to get a feel for what was going on and just started teaching them all of the things that I had learned along the way, from training and management and development and all of the simple tricks that I had been given and the learning lessons and the kind of scenarios that we went through regularly, and found out that there was a real true element needed for entrepreneurs to learn the sales side because, as everybody listening to this podcast knows, entrepreneurs usually start a business because they have a passion or a knowledge in a specific area, not because they're sales experts. And 50% of businesses close in the first 5 years, mostly because they just don't understand the sales side, right? Not everybody has a bad product or a bad service. It usually is because they don't know how to sell it. And I want to be able to help people fix that.
Absolutely. It's such a critical part of running any business is if you have a product, you need to know how to sell that product, and that's the only way you stay in business. That's awesome. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts of really how you're generating revenue today. So walk us through the core offering, personalized coaching or online courses. How do you structure what you do for your clients, such as solopreneurs or even small business owners?
Yeah, so we do a slew of different services now at this point, where depending on the different market that people are in, we might be helping them with different things. So we have a division that works specifically with speakers and people who have products and services that speaking is a large part of getting in front of the audiences that they have. So we help them book gigs and get in front of those audiences that actually matter. We have a products division for people who want their retail products on shelves that can help them do that if they're an actual product-based business. But most of what we do is true consulting, where we are helping people even understand what their current sales process is and where the holes are. So there's this whole field now called sales enablement that all it really means is that they understand the full sales pipeline of what's going on, from new lead in the marketing side and even pre that, through the sales process and pipeline and into customer service, and basically just understanding where the holes in that whole process are and how to fix them. That can be a very daunting task for someone who maybe is brand new to business, or maybe they've been in business for 5, 10 years and they don't know why they aren't making any money, to even understand where those problems are. That's a big portion of what our business does, is just that consulting and understanding of a 3 month process of where the holes are, how do I fix it, help me put some process in place that actually solve that.
Love that. Yeah, from what it sounds like, you're really looking at all aspects of what that strategy is going to look like for a business to acquire customers, but also retain those customers, right? Yeah. And now on that topic, building on this growth, you have over 2,000 LinkedIn followers. How are you currently acquiring some of your clients right now? Which channels, whether it's LinkedIn, referrals, on your website, there's like a plethora of free resources. What's been the most effective for landing clients for some of the coaching services?
I use a few different lead sources, and generally speaking, depending on what market you're in, and the people who are listening to this might already know this, but depending on what the market you're in, that can change where your lead source is going to be the most effective. And we constantly are in an experimental phase on that front because the world is changing so fast, both with AI and with social media on where those leads are going to be coming from effectively. I still have an active profile on Upwork and have constantly working through the lead source of that because they have improved their platform so much that there are constant postings on there. But also through the educational side of, if you're not already doing this as an entrepreneur, trying to become a expert in your specific area and voicing that often on LinkedIn and on whatever social platforms you want to be on. So we are also using those same social platforms, as you mentioned, the 2,000 plus followers that we are working on growing on LinkedIn, to then translate that into ads on LinkedIn as well. So you're creating an effective ecosystem of not only being the expert, but generating ads on those same sites that are bringing in the people that you want to be sharing that information with so that it's the correct route for the audience that you are reaching out to. God forbid someone find you through an ad. When they get to your profile or your website or whatever it might be that you're leading them to, they have to be also seeing that you are the knowledge and expert there. So we're using Upwork as a place where people are like actively posting jobs that need to be done and that they are looking for these resources, but both LinkedIn for the expertise side and then Meta for our ads to be
Mm,
actively going out and reaching the people for specific services that we think work best on those platforms.
mm. Uh, Go ahead.
I was just going to say a good way in which you want to be thinking about those things too are of your product and services, what price points are going to match different platforms, right? So for example, LinkedIn is not very cheap to advertise on. I think we all know that. Meta is a little less expensive, right? So, A, thinking about where the costs are on that side and where those costs are going to match up for your business, but B, where the costs of your services are
Mm,
and where they're going to match up with the clients that are on those platforms. So, if your product and service is geared towards a company and it costs $25,000 to purchase it, you probably want to be on LinkedIn. So, when we're looking at our consulting products that are more company driven, we want to be placing those ads on LinkedIn. But for our keynote side, that is very individualized and very specific to individual people. Those ads we're looking at more towards Meta because the cost is much lower and it's an individual person that's making those choices. So just thinking really seriously through not only having multiple lead sources, but where you're effectively investing those lead sources in association with the services that you offer and making sure that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was such a great point that you brought up is really reflecting on your ICP and understanding where are they going to be spending the most time and what is their profile? Where are they at essentially within their own journey, right? So that you can understand revenue wise what they can really do. Now, I love your approach to acquisition. You, from what it sounds like, you've really diversified across so many different platforms, including Upwork as well, right? Which is where you can easily lower your CPA. I'd love to learn about now your approach to sales, right? Because that is what you do. What strategies have been the most effective in converting some of those leads that do come in either through LinkedIn ads, Meta, or Upwork into actual long-term clients? Are you leveraging a lot of like thought leadership in this process or workshops? And also, are you personally driving the sales or do you have a team right now that's also helping in these conversations?
So I have a system in place for the people on my team to do some pre-work involved in those leads because we are at a point now where it would not be effective for our company for me to be involved with every stage of that. But I am part of the final decision-making process. And I say that because to answer your question, there's a couple things that need to happen for the folks that are listening to this call to be able to grow. A, we have gotten very good at understanding who our demographic is, who our target demographic is and who we're going after, and who are our perfect clients, right? So our lead process goes and our targeting and our selection
Mm.
goes along with how closely do they fit that target audience and are they taking the customer journey that we need them to be successful on the other end? Because one of the things that I failed very hard at in the beginning was not having people truly not even really having a specific target demographic. I was like, I can help everybody. And that was a huge, stupid thought to have, right? Not only can you not help everybody, but you can't help everybody. And that's the real problem. So, really, truly understanding who that target demographic is, advertising to that target demographic, and then I have a team who is very strict on making sure we have some serious bullet points and some serious understanding of do these people actually line up with the
Mm.
target demographic that we need them to be. Because if they don't, they're never going to be happy in the long run. They're not going to actually get what they need to out of our product. And they're going to end up thinking that we failed them when really it was just in the beginning we didn't have the right person to begin with. I allow my team to put in place we've decided as a team who that target demographic is, but I've allowed my team to put in place those structures of the prereqs and the decisions before they get to me. And then I'm part of that final conversation with the client of being able to land them and bring them into the right service that matches what they need.
Mm, yeah, it's really cool to hear that you've pretty much created a qualification process so that there is a good product solution fit if they do plan to work with you. And it's one of the things that's overlooked by so many leaders and entrepreneurs where they see all these leads coming in, or they
Mm.
want to have a conversation with everyone, they want to help everyone from a fulfillment standpoint that may not be sustainable. So, from what it sounds like, the growth has been pretty impressive, really dialing in the sales strategy and then also the acquisition channels. If there was like one bottleneck that stood out, what would it be? Is it attracting even high value leads? Because I know that was something we talked about a little bit earlier, scaling your coaching capacity or something else. What are you focused on solving right now to keep this momentum going?
To be honest, 90% of entrepreneurs I've ever met, including myself and business owners, the bottleneck is me, 100% of the time, for a couple of reasons. We as business owners need to be really embracing AI and ways in which we can multiply ourselves easily, whether that's through literally just word vomiting processes we've done before and helping it create process for us and doing things like that. But B, our time, we put ourselves in these situations so commonly over the past few years where, particularly in the States where I live,
Mm,
where we thought being busy meant we were like accomplishing things. And that has led us to this place where a lot of us don't have time to do the actual work because we're in so many meetings all week. Leveraging things like AI, leveraging things like our team, and giving us the time as entrepreneurs and business owners to not be a bottleneck, letting our team make the decisions that we entrusted them to do and create the systems that are in place for them to do that, allow us to be in a situation where we can get more leads, we
mm,
can close more deals, we can be the thought leaders and come up with the ideas for new products and services. It's the
mm,
whole point that we were in the position in the first place that we were in, right? I think the biggest problem is usually us
mm,
and allowing ourselves to look in the mirror and realize that and leveraging things like A in our team to
mm.
fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. I know there's so many founders right now that are tuning in and they're probably thinking that's the same thing that they have as well. It's like the delegation aspect and creating that consistent asynchronous environment for that deep work. From what it sounds like, everything you've accomplished, really just growing your LinkedIn following and offering like a full suite of different digital products. What's top of mind now for growing SMD coaching over the next 6 to 12 months? What does that runway look like for you?
Biggest things we're working on in the next 6 months are trying, gosh, with where like the digital element of everything is, it's really hard to see where the puck is going to be in 6 months. AI is changing things so fast. So incorporating AI and incorporating programs to allow us to stay ahead of the curve is the most important thing that we are trying to focus on. And then really trying to see some of the markets that are growing right now and understanding the services that might need to be offered for those specific markets. So that's the thing that we are concentrating on the most. Some markets that I'm seeing growing a lot that we're thinking through how we adapt our services are like the retreat experience market. We're seeing that growing a lot. So like how we can help those people in a digital age and how we're capturing those people. And really being able to help our clients systematize as fast as possible because the world's just changing so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, that the sustainability aspect on the client's end. Now, one more question, and then we'll get into the lightning round. I want to get a bit hypothetical because I love your passion for really teaching sales. If you had a genie in the room, you rubbed the lamp, Sarah, and poof, you have all these unlimited resources now. What would you implement immediately to accelerate the growth of SMD coaching?
Oh, probably more people. One of the things that we do in our world is just having the information our clients need, right? Databases of people and information. And the thing that the world kind of forgets about with AI and all of the platforms and programs that are out there,
Mm,
and it's changing very rapidly and it's going to look different in 5 years, but we still need people to like A, make sure all the correct information is in there to start with, and B, to read it and
mm.
understand it. There's still in this world needs to be a human element to things. So having the right people on my team and growing that to the place that I would like it to be right now would be the thing that I would do.
What does that place look like? Just like on that note, what does that ideal state look like for you as like a founder?
So my ideal state is being in more markets. We're working right now on getting our government certification and also allowing ourselves to perfect our services in a few different markets. Like I said, we're already in the keynote world and people who are speakers. We're already in the product-based world. I'd like to be in the service-based world of people who are doing retreats and that high-end look.
Mm,
But like I said, I would like to be in more government work.
mm,
I would like to be in the podcast booking world because I think that's growing. And there's a few worlds that I would like to be more in that matter very significantly to the future of where the world is going that I don't want to miss out on just because we don't have enough people and time to perfect the systems around it before they get huge.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, really taking advantage of some of the current waves right now. And yeah, and it's such a interesting point you brought up. It's so relatable. It's like, how do we actually just do it at the end of the day rather than just waiting on things to be refined or perfect before you go to the market? Love the fact that you're saying that and thinking about that because I know our listeners tuning in, they're probably thinking about that perfection element. And in your case, absolutely not. Just diversify yourself, get out there and really capitalize on it before someone else does. Now, one last question now that we're in the lightning round. What advice would you give to founders just starting out, especially those that are diving into more education driven ventures like sales coaching?
Don't be afraid of technology, CRMs, AI, tools like obviously every marketing platform in the world. Don't be afraid of it. Know that there's always going to be 1,000 versions of everything, haha, but try and start to learn about those because that is the future of in the education world. We are no longer in a space where like knowing the book knowledge on something is going to be enough because the technology side of everything that we do is growing so fast
Mm,
that if you do not stay current with what is out there,
mm,
you will be left behind, regardless of what your education is, because we are now in a world where the zeitgeist, actual practical knowledge of things, is outweighing book knowledge for the
mm,
consumer. So being aware of that and making sure that you are actually still staying in things and knowing what is out there
mm,
is incredibly important. And also the other thing I would say is know what's happening in the world and take advantage of it while you can. I don't know when this is going to air, but like you were just mentioning what's going on in current markets, right? Like the world is crazy right now. Whether you
yeah.
like Trump or you don't, doesn't really matter. It's
Mm,
affecting the market in the United States a lot, right? So if you are someone who you have the opportunity to go after,
yeah.
like American made products, like that's going to be hot right now because that's what they're gearing things towards, or at least like in the Western Hemisphere, right? So like paying attention to what's happening in
Mhm.
the world and just use it to your advantage. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It just
Mhm.
has to say, hey, the puck might have changed and
Right.
I need to pay attention to that really quick and use it to my advantage.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think so little people pay attention, and then even smaller than that, they don't take that action. Such a profound statement. Nice way to wrap up today's episode. On that note, that does wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us today, your small town roots and sales expertise to really founding SMD coaching and empowering entrepreneurs and freelancers with essentially the sales skills needed to succeed. We're excited to follow the journey along in the next few months and see how everything pans out for you in 2025. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find some more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class sales systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you all on the next one.